Why we can't do it in 3 screens? Oh, that's not bad though.
Yeah. All right. Hi guys. So welcome to Travel History today. Brought to you by Indian and Law Tigers. So big shout out to them for sponsoring it. It's so that we can keep bringing you guys broadcasts and interviews and events and everything else. So today's show, which I can hear an echo, is brought to you, like I already said, sorry, trying to multitask. Today's show is with Danger Dan. But before we get to that, I wanted to mention a couple of things. If you guys don't follow us on Instagram, go give us a follow, Perowitz_Psychofab, as well as on YouTube. Hopefully you guys are watching this on YouTube. And if you guys are looking for any Perowitz apparel, go over to CompD, Competition Distributing. They sell our apparel over there. And also, if any of you guys are in the Salt Lake City area, I'm going to be on the Kyle Petty ride, which is the end of April to May 5th. You can go on KylePettyCharityRide.com and check the stops and come out and meet us at one of the stops. I'm really looking forward to this ride. It should be a good time. And we're going to be going back to the Salt. So it'll be my first time back to Bonneville in 5 years.
Yeah.
Has it been 5 years?
6 years. 17 was the last time.
Yeah. You want to tell them about the bike while I shut that
Yeah.
off?
I've got a couple of bikes for sale. I've got a 2000 Softail, a real nice bike. I just did the top end of the motor over. It's 95-inch motor. It's got cams in it. It's got a nice paint job, been repainted. It's ready to go. It needs nothing. It's a real nice bike. And I've got that one, which is $6,000. And then I've also got a 92 FLH S. Again, real clean bike. It's got 40-something thousand on it, but the top end has been done over. And it's ready to go. And no, wait a minute. The FLH is $6,000. The Softail is $6,500.
I have these posted on our Facebook.
Yeah.
So if any of you guys are interested, just go back and look at posts in the last 2 days. I have them both listed on there. But let's get to this. Let's bring Dan on. Let's see. Hey Dan.
Hello.
Hey, Dan. How's it going?
It's going good. How about y'all?
Is it cold there? I see you're all bundled up with a hood on.
Yeah, I mean, it's down in the 50s this morning. That's pretty cold in Texas.
Yeah, I guess.
It's 50s here. It's supposed to be like almost 70 here.
Yeah, I mean,
today.
50s here is great, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I'm just in my comfortable attire. I got my Kelvis hoodie on.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I feel good.
Hey, so we were hoping that I was hoping that you were gonna have your cowboy hat on.
Oh, I don't.
Yeah, obviously. Because look I wanted to be like Danger Dan.
Oh shit! You're getting there. You're getting there.
So I got this hat in Bisbee when we were in Bisbee, and then I couldn't take it on my motorcycle. So, Brian's friend Sue took it and shipped it to me, and then she made this cool thing.
Flower arrangement.
Yeah,
that's beautiful.
Yeah, to give it character.
Yeah, it's got some character. It'll get more once you keep wearing it.
Yeah, so I gotta get it dirty and get some miles on it.
You know, Dan, when I saw the hat, I said, wow, that looks like Danger Dan's hat.
My dad,
I did not give her my hat.
Yeah, he goes, oh, you really are trying to be like Dan, huh?
You're our hero, Dan.
Oh, come on now. Come on. You guys are my heroes.
So
I really enjoyed riding with Jody a couple weeks ago, Dave. It was a lot of fun. We really did put down some miles. We slept in the dirt. We crossed a couple of borders multiple times. And dude, we had a lot of fun in Bisbee.
We sure did.
Yeah. No, she told me she loved it. She had a great trip.
Yeah.
She loved dealing, riding with all you guys.
It was quite the trip.
Proving that a woman could do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it was definitely a good trip. Like that is one of my favorite trips.
Well, you got to meet some of my favorite people, and it was really cool to share that with you and them. So
Yeah, you have a good gang.
I
Like
do.
all those guys are solid guys. A bunch of them have become more of my friends than my own friends already. You know, there's definitely some solid guys, and I give you guys big props too for like riding these rigid choppers and shovel heads. I mean, that's cool.
It's fun.
Yeah, it's good stuff. I love that, you guys are doing it, keeping that alive.
Dan, tell us about tell me about the bike you were riding.
It's a straight leg pan frame that's been cracked and broke many a times.
Yeah.
That's actually my first trip to Bisbee, was to fix the broken frame a few years ago at my buddy's Naco's place right there on the border. Yeah, that's it right there. The sissy bar, that Trident, man, I found that laying on a guy's shed, and it ended up being something my neighbor made back in 76.
Wow.
That motor that's in it right now is a 59 that Boston Billy has built, I think, 3 times,
No kidding. Boston Billy did that motor, huh?
Oh, Boston Billy's the only guy to do the motors. He is my favorite. And, I've really put his work to the test. I know every time I leave his shop with a fresh motor, he's not happy. He's just like, you are not going to treat this thing right. He's right. But it's got shovels on it now. I went through a couple sets of pan heads before I met Billy.
Yeah.
And, those shovel heads work fucking great. And, it's got a wide glide. I had a Springer on it, an extended Harley Springer for a while. I sent that to Australia to a friend and put this wide glide on it. And I've been running that for a few years now. And, I built some custom controls on it. It's got a foot clutch. That tank, my friend Chemical Randy painted probably 6 years ago. It's funny. It's got a lot of patina on it now. And he's always telling me people want him to paint a tank like mine. And he's like, no, that thing was nice and shiny when I painted it,
Yeah,
like,
no kidding.
You got to put that patina on it yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. How many miles do you think you got on that thing?
I have no clue. No,
a lot, right?
Yeah, this year I've got about 4,000 on it.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a lot.
That's cool, especially for a pan motor, even though it does have a shovel top, Is it 74 inches?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's the stock. I tell Billy, I'm like, I don't need to go fast. I just need to go a lot. And
well, you did both.
Well,
yeah. Because we were moving, and I was overly impressed because I thought, all right, I'm going to be with a bunch of chops. It's probably going to be a slow ride as far as speed and as far as, having to fix things and, things break. And I don't think one time we stopped.
No, there was
fixes or anything.
Some tuning along the way, but nothing major. I got it geared pretty tall. I run a disc on the back so I can play with the gearing a little more than, most people run these vintage choppers. I think it's a 24-48 tooth combo, so it's 2-to-1 in the back. And it doesn't take off real fast, but it'll cruise at highway plus speeds all day long.
Yeah, well, I said that to Jody. I said he must have that thing geared pretty tall to be running that speed.
I do.
Yeah, and you are an animal on that thing. Like, just being able to maneuver it and whip it around, it's like it's a little toy for you.
Seat time will do that on any motorcycle.
True.
You just got to put time on that seat, and it's just an extension of me at this point. Like, I don't think about any of it. I just do whatever I want to do with it.
Yeah.
Dan, so tell us about the Pan America. Tell us about that ride, because that is so impressive.
Yeah, it was. It's surreal, honestly. Even now, it's like hard to digest that. When I pull up a map, and you have to pull up a globe to see where I really went, which is insane. So I bought that bike. It was the first one in Texas that I could get my hands on back in 21, I believe. And the first thing I did was take it apart and have my friend Randy put some more flames on it, because you know, bikes need flames. You guys know about that, right?
Yeah, oh yeah, I know all about that.
It makes you go faster.
Yeah, absolutely. And so we painted it, and then I rode it to Tennessee. And right out of the gate, I hated it. You know, I just sat on it, rode down the highway, and I was like, this isn't as cool as my chopper. And then while I was in Tennessee, I got to ride some dirt roads around Loretta Lynn's place. And it, you know, I was like, okay, this is why I got this bike. And I was all excited pulling back into the camp, you know, to go see the Bling Cycles Invitational, and this truck slowed down in front of me. So I tried to pass it, and that truck and me just collided. And, you know, I thought I messed up the paint. I thought I messed up the whole bike, and I picked it up, and I was able to ride off on it. And that was when I finally, instead of just riding around on some new bike, it became my bike. And it was awesome. And ever since then, I've just been pushing the limits. I rode a bunch of dirt roads on the way to Sturgis that year up to Colorado BDR. Then I rode through the Bighorns in Wyoming, all on dirt, rode through Idaho, did some crazy wood logging roads. And, you know, I just put it to the test. Right there is in Red River, New Mexico, where Michael and I did some photo shoots early on. And then, you know, I had a trip planned to Mexico for the Mezcal Moto Rally. It was like a Mezcal taco-fueled 3-day race into Mexico. And I was excited about it. And
were you the only Harley?
No, there was a couple more, but they were cruisers like Road Kings or Road, you know, fairing bikes.
Yeah.
And then some BMWs, a Yamaha, I think a Ducati.
It was all pavement?
It was all pavement. Well, you know, if you went down the race track, it was. I did not stay on that. You know, I found some dirt in Mexico.
I figured.
But while I was looking at the map, I got a friend in Costa Rica I hadn't seen in a minute. And I was like, well, shit, I'm going to be halfway there. I'll go see my friend Terry in Costa Rica, because I had some business ideas I wanted to talk to him about. So after the 3-day race, everybody took a break, and I jumped on the bike and kept the momentum and just started crossing borders through Central America. And it was wild. I think if I would have looked into it and planned this out, I probably wouldn't have done it. You know, I was paying bribes and I got attacked by a bunch of people in masks with sticks by Donald Trump and Barack Obama on the streets of Honduras. Shit. It was insane. And anyways, I finally made it to Costa Rica. My buddy was camped out on the beach, and this was like Easter weekend, and we spent 3 days just cooking. And this guy's like a world-renowned chef, Terry Chandler. And we cooked food. We drank all the mezcal I brought from Mexico. It was a full moon. Tequila. It's like a form of tequila made in Oaxaca down in Mexico. And so, yeah, it was a full moon. Anyways, we're talking, and, you know, at this point, I was just going to go home. I didn't even tell my wife I was going to Costa Rica either. It was
I can't wait to meet your wife, by the way.
She is amazing.
Yeah,
and,
she must be.
Now, how long were you on the road at that point?
It took me 7 days to go from my house just outside of Fort Worth to Costa Rica.
7 days? Wow.
Yeah, I was on it. And
because
because
I was going to say, that seems fast.
I was planning on coming home. And like I said, I didn't tell my wife I was going that far. So I was trying to make time.
Yeah.
And anyways, I'm talking to my buddy Terry on the beach, and he goes, Dan, you know that this is probably the first Pan America to come down the Pan America Highway this far. And I was like, well, I hadn't really thought about it, you know, and I look at the map, and I had literally gone down the Pan America Highway all the way there. And he was like, the thing is that Pan America Highway doesn't end here. It goes all the way to the bottom. And I was like, shit. He's like, you got to do it. You got to continue on. And I was like, well, fuck, I got to tell my wife I'm in Costa Rica first, you know?
Yeah.
So I, at that point, the bike actually quit working while we were on the beach. The battery gave up on it. So we had to get it towed back to his place. And instead of trying to find a battery in Costa Rica, I flew home, and I got my wife. I got a battery, and I flew back to Costa Rica, and I got a new set of tires thanks to Grand Teton Harley Davidson. And I sat my wife on the beach, And I told her what I was fixing to do. You're going back to Texas, and I'm going to continue on, you know?
So you gave her a little mini vacation.
I had to put her in her favorite place, you know?
Yeah, you got her primed, right? Yeah.
And so I continued on. But at this point, once I realized I was going to go all the way to the bottom, I started taking my time and really taking in the sights. And I spent about 10 days after that riding around, like just the beaches of Costa Rica, through the jungle, dirt roads. I went to some beautiful places, stayed in some beautiful places. And then I went and met a friend of mine in Panama, Rob Rouser, one of my favorite friends. I actually met him in Nepal a few years ago on a motorcycle Sherpa trip. And, you know, then I got to the Darien Gap. I rode to where there is no more road in Central America. And at that point, I could either put my bike on a ship or put it on a plane. So that I could get on my bike quicker, I put it on a plane and flew to Bogota, Colombia. And at this point,
so you couldn't get there's no bridges or anything?
No, there's like a 90-mile stretch of the most dangerous rainforest in the world. Now, there are like human trafficking trails that go through there, but there's a lot of rivers to cross, crazy mud, hills.
I'm surprised you didn't do it.
Don't think I didn't look at the the options there.
Yeah, because it must be rough if you didn't do it.
Oh, it's rough. Yeah, it is. Yeah, I mean, there's been a couple of motorcycles that have made it. My friend Wolfgang, he did it on a panhead about 20 years ago. But, you know, he had a whole tribe with him of people like towing the bike through the mud, up the hills, cutting down trails with machetes. And, you know, I'd like to just ride around and eat good food and see beautiful things. And,
So you put your bike on a plane.
Yeah, I flew to Colombia. And at this point, so instead of just going down the Pan America Highway, I picked out the most dangerous roads in South America. And that's how I mapped my way to the bottom. And the first one was called the Trampoline of Death. And it's like at the southern part of Colombia. And, you know, it wasn't on the top of the list of dangerous roads in South America. So I didn't think it would be that bad. And at this point, I'd ridden down some gnarly roads. I'm like, what could this possibly have in store for me? Well, within about 30 minutes of being on this road that was going to take about 4.5, 5 hours to complete, I got stopped in traffic, rode around to the front of the traffic jam, and there was these like rescue team sending people off the side of this cliff to go find this vehicle that had gone off. And so 6 hours in the rain, we sat there and watched them like haul dead bodies out from the bottom of this valley. And while we're waiting on them to clear the road up, about 50 motorcycles, all doing the same thing, except for mainly locals, came and gathered around me and were waiting at the road. And by the time they got to that fourth dead body, it was like being in the pits at a race. Everybody's getting their gear on. They're warming their bikes up, you know. That fourth body came out, and it was like a green flag. All 50 of us just take off down the Trampoline of Death. And I was trying to take it easy at first, you know, like it is a pretty gnarly road. I'm on a bigger bike than everybody. I was being polite. And then I started seeing the front wheels in my peripheral vision, like edge up behind me. I'm like, all right, it's on. And I just take off racing, just passing every single one of these bikes. And I finally get to the last one, go around him. And then all of a sudden, my fucking rear wheel locks up and I come to like a sliding stop on the edge of this fucking cliff. I'm like, what the hell just happened? And I get off and I look at my chain had popped off and jammed in between my sprocket and the swing arm. So now all those guys I just passed are just passing me, you know, like not stopping, not doing anything. Every single one of them just rode past me. I'm laying in the dirt, in the mud at this point. I end up having to take my rear wheel off, get it all situated, tighten the chain back up, and take off. So at this point now I'm like, all right, I can take it easy. There's nobody else I need to pass. I'll just take some videos and photos and enjoy the road.
Was the road like at all like packed in, like an actual road, or was it just kind of ruts?
Oh no, it was a road. It was a decent gravel road.
Yeah.
There was waterfalls. I mean, there was at all times there was a cliff on one side or another that was just into the dense rainforest. But after about 30 minutes, I passed one of the guys. I catch up to him. I pass another guy, pass another guy, and then the race kicked in again. I'm like, fuck it. I'm going to go chase down that guy at the front again. So I just take off and just start passing these motherfuckers. And I get to the last guy, and he's pushing his bike down the road because his chain had popped off. His girl was walking behind him. So I pull over.
Wait, there's a girl in the back?
Oh, yeah. They're right. There's a lot of two of them. I mean, this is like their normal transportation. This isn't like the most dangerous road in the world.
Right.
This is like how they get from A to B.
Yeah, they don't think anything of it.
Yeah, so I pull over, I fix his bike, and he's just so stoked. But he's also like, you know, also bummed because he just rode by me laying in the middle of the road a couple hours ago. And now I'm passing him again and fixing his bike to get him back on the road. It was awesome. It was a great experience.
Was he like a native guy?
Oh, yeah, it was all Colombians.
They speak English?
No.
So do you speak Spanish?
Uno más cerveza.
Okay.
Yeah, no, not very much at all.
Yeah,
like very little.
No.
No, I don't know. I know the bare basics, but you know, when you look like me and you're traveling in a place like that, when I pull up at 6 o'clock in the evening, you know, they know I want a place to stay, something warm to eat, and something cold to drink. So, you know, the language barrier is pretty easy to navigate. Now, you know, I didn't get to have any in-depth conversations about the motorcycle culture with a lot of these people.
Oh, shoot.
People that, you know, that love Harley Davidsons, and they've gone out of their way to learn English. And, you know, I was able to have some really good conversations about, you know, what it takes to be a Harley rider in South America. It's not the same as up here, you know, like you really got to want it. You know, it's not easy to obtain. The bikes are more expensive. You know, you think about now, if you need to know something, you can just look it up on the internet or call a friend. Well, down there, you can look it up on the internet, but everything's in English, right? So all the information to like work on these bikes, they've had to learn English just to, you know, learn the small things that we kind of take for granted up here. And would just help me communicate with them.
Was there many Hollies like in your travels? Did you see many at all?
No.
Yeah, I can't imagine
A,
they could afford it, and B, that the terrain and stuff is probably just not ideal for.
Yeah, the roads are not maintained quite the same.
Yeah.
But I did. So after Colombia, the next country was Ecuador. And when I got into Ecuador, they were like having these crazy protests. There was roadblocks everywhere, people with machetes trying to like flatten your tires if you tried to go by them.
Really?
I ended up getting stuck on a farm for like 6 days waiting for the roadblocks to clear. And when they finally cleared, like right before they cleared up, I was over it. I wanted to go home for the 4th of July. So I had like called in a helicopter ride to take me to the airport. This guy was going to let me stash my bike in a barn. And once we finally got the helicopter ride secured, they like had some peace agreement and all the roads cleared up. So I jumped on my bike and I rode into Quito, which is the capital, and they got a Harley Davidson dealership there. And I pull up to this dealership and the owner's like, what the hell are you? How did you possibly get here right now? You know? Yeah. And he was not any help at all. He didn't care. He wouldn't even help me with tires. He wouldn't help me with anything. He wouldn't even let me store my bike there.
Really?
So I found,
that's crazy. I would think they'd be all over it.
Well, I think he was really bummed about the country being shut down for, you know, I think it was 13 days at this point. And he was ready to just close the doors on the dealership because he was from like Sweden, I think.
Were they political protests?
Oh, yeah. It was the indigenous people, you know, they're like, fuck, you're sucking all this oil out from underneath us, turning it into gas, and then charging us a shit ton. So what ended up alleviating the fight or the protest was the government subsidizing the gas to a point where they could afford to buy it. From my limited understanding.
So where did you end up leaving your bike?
There was a motorcycle tour company around the corner, and they were super nice. They let me store my bike. I came back with parts, you know, like chains, tires, I think a couple other things. And I brought Brian Helm with me at this point. And
you must have been a hero.
I don't know about that. They thought I was retarded. They're like, you know, you're on a Harley trying to hit these roads.
How'd you hook up with the guy that let you stay in his barn for 6 days or farm?
I just found him. It was like it was a hotel on a farm. And it was crazy because when I pulled up, I hear a guy on the phone talking in English. And I'm like, no way. Well, the owners of this place live in California now. And the owner, the husband was there, and his wife was stuck at the airport, and they were trying to figure out how to get her past all the roadblocks. So they were keeping in contact with, the roadblocks so that they could get her there. And this guy must be a prominent figure because they ended up doing he did one of these live streams with his phone where they interviewed him for the local news. And, and he had the whole place booked up at that point, but nobody was there. So he had food, he had wine, he had everything.
Wow.
I mean, it was an amazing place to get stuck.
I was just gonna
Wow,
say,
yeah.
sounds like a good spot to be stuck.
It was really good. It was really good.
Were you? I mean, I know you probably weren't nervous, but were you ever like, "Oh shoot, I'm not gonna be able to get out of here"?
Absolutely. I mean, I didn't know how long it was going to last.
Yeah.
I was trying to get to the dealership so that I could fly home for the 4th of July and, celebrate America in America with my family. And
Yeah.
it was starting to look like that wasn't going to happen because I would leave every morning and just try and map the roads out where, seeing if I could find a back road. I'd spend the evenings just looking at the map and off-road trails. Reaching out to the local adventure community to see what maps they could give me. And I got a bunch of help, but every time I'd go out, there'd be roadblocks that had been disassembled and the new ones that were put up. And I was like, the further I get away, the less likely I am to get back to that beautiful farm with all that food,
Yeah.
So yeah, it was wild. It was
So
really
tell us
wild.
about the guys that come after you with the machetes and the masks on.
Okay. So when I was crossing into Honduras,
So is this after Ecuador? I don't know my geography.
no,
down
this is
there.
back in Central America.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm crossing into Honduras and I'm at the border. And each time you go into a new country, you have to get your passport stamped and then you have to get your vehicle temporarily registered for that country. And to get this registration, you got to have a driver's license. Well, at this border crossing, which another thing was I went down during their busiest travel week of the year, which is Easter. So the border, the control office was slammed. I waited in line for 4 hours. Tons
Wow.
of people. I'm sweating. I just have my bike outside, just hoping that nothing gets stolen off of it or it doesn't disappear. And at this point, I had paid some guys to help me out. And I gave them the title to my motorcycle and my driver's license so that they could go wait in this other line to get my vehicle taken care of while I was getting my passport stamped. So during all of this, I walk outside or I finish up doing what I'm doing. I walk outside, the bike's still there, which is good. And then I got to go sign something and then I'm good to go. Well,
How much did it cost you?
Not much. I think I paid those guys $100,
Okay.
which saved me probably another 4 hours of waiting in line.
Yeah.
So when I go back outside, my bike's there and they give me my paperwork. They didn't give me my driver's license. So I'm like, what's going on here? And they're like, oh, well, you should already have it. I'm like, no, I gave it to you. So then they're trying to tell me that the lady behind the counter had lost it. And I'm like, all right, will another $100 make my driver's license reappear here? And they're like, no, we really don't have it. So after arguing with them for a little bit, I don't think and I went and talked to the lady behind the counter. She said she didn't have it. So I call up my buddy in Costa Rica. I'm like, dude, they lost my driver's license. I don't know how I'm going to be able to get into the next country. And he was like, well, go get a police report that says that you had it and you lost it at this border. That way you've at least got some kind of paperwork. So I did that. And I go to the police station and the guy's like, man, we can't help you out. Our electricity's out. We can't write a police report. And I see the fucking things blowing on the air conditioning unit. He obviously has electricity. And I'm like,
Oh,
shit. Okay. So I look up the next police station and I leave there and I'm flustered. I'm stress levels high. I'll be I'm already amped up. Not sure if I'm going to be able to get out of Honduras at this point. And, I can't just go home. I'm literally stuck there at this point.
Yeah.
So I go to the police station and about 5 miles away from the border crossing, I come around a turn to see about 30 dudes in this crazy dark gowns, all with Halloween masks on. And they got sticks in their hand and they're hitting a truck that's pulling through this mob of people. And I'm like, No, what the fuck is this? You know, and I went to the basic instinct. When in doubt, throttle out. So I just fucking turned the throttle and lit it up right into the middle of this crowd of people. And they all stopped at one point and just turned and looked at me with these fucking Halloween masks on. And I go right to the middle of them and I see Donald Trump on my left and Barack Obama on my right, just holding sticks in their hand. And I thought I was like in a nightmare. Like I couldn't believe this was possibly fucking going on. And they were just as surprised to see me as I was to see them. They didn't swing. They didn't do anything. I just rode right through the middle of them. And that was it. And like now I'm going to a police station. I'm like, I don't want to be seen going to a police station after going through that, you know?
Yeah.
But I pull right up into the courtyard. And immediately a dude walks out, fucking hand on the gun. And I'm like, fuck, just give me a second. I'm like, I don't speak their language. They don't speak mine. And a couple of them show up. I'm trying to tell them, what I need from them. My app's not working to do translation. It's not looking good. And then this lady comes out. And at this point, there's 3 guys all in their 20s and a lady in her 20s. And they're all in uniform. And then a lady walks out that's in like street clothes, like their boss. She works in the office. And she looks at me and she looks at the lady. There's a beautiful lady in a cop uniform. And she looks at me and just starts smiling and laughing. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? And she, in perfect English, she goes, hey, will you marry our friend so she can go back to Texas with you? And I'm just like, what in the fuck is going on? Like it went from like this
awesome.
Tense moment where they got their hands on the guns to I'm dealing with the Reno 911 of Honduras. I'm like, no wonder there's people in the streets with sticks and masks attacking your locals when you got cops like y'all just hanging out here at the office. So
did you ever get your license back?
Oh, they gave me a police report and I moved on. And then I got a message 3 days later, like, hey, we found your driver's license. Would you like us to send it to you?
Who found it?
The guy that I was paying to help me out. I don't know. I think the lady behind the counter found it and then she gave it to this guy because that's what he does is just help people get across.
So you think they were legit?
I think they could have taken my motorcycle with the title,
Yeah.
To take my driver's license. Yeah. I really do think and that office was so busy at that point that, she slid it behind the wrong paper and fucking there it's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So back to so you flew home for July 4th and then you and Brian flew back.
Yeah, me and Brian flew back and spent about 10 days just checking out Ecuador. We did some of the gnarliest riding. Do what?
It was bikes. And Brian rented a bike.
Oh,
right?
Brian rented a bike?
Yeah, put Brian on an Africa Twin from that rental company that helped me.
Okay.
It's Ecuador Freedom Motorcycle Rental.
Yeah.
They put him on an Africa Twin. He couldn't even touch the ground.
He said that it was unbelievable.
Yeah, I spent most of that trip helping him pick up his bike, because
Yeah.
He told me that was the first time he's really done off-road and
and I didn't take it easy on him. We were riding horse trails. We did a fucking bridge made out of 55-gallon drums,
Oh man.
It was crazy. Rode through like banana fields, pineapple fields. We ate food. We rode to the beach. We stayed on the beach. It was awesome. And then I left him and rode into Peru.
Jeez.
Boy.
So now all this whole time, did you camp out most of the time or did you get hotels? What'd you do?
A little bit of both, but mainly I stayed in hotels.
Yeah.
I had a friend, my friend Randall Wiley helped me with all the travel. He's fucking put me in first class to fly back and forth so I didn't miss any obligations. And, and the hotels are relatively cheap down there compared to staying up here. And, it was a good way to spend time with the locals. Now, once you leave America, there's most of the people on motorcycles, it's like a utilitarian vehicle. They're not doing it out of just for pleasure, for fun, that's all they can afford. It's the most gas efficient thing to get their family around. And it pretty much stays that way. Now, Colombia, once I got into Colombia, there was some people on big bikes traveling around for fun. But, Ecuador and Peru, that's just what they do. Now, once I got to Argentina, it totally changed. That's they love riding motorcycles and camping in the dirt. And, but just camping. It's I didn't do much of that up there. You know,
Yeah.
like I just
How-
didn't. I had all the stuff to do it, and I did in places where I was like in really remote spots, but mainly hotels.
How was it getting gas?
For the most part, it was very easy.
Yeah.
Once I got to Bolivia, they don't sell gas to the locals.
Really?
Yeah, they just don't. And if they
So
do,
what
it's
do
like,
what do the locals do?
I mean, wait a second. They sell gas to locals. They don't sell gas to the foreigners.
Okay.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I was told to take a bunch of spare tanks and be prepared to not get gas. But I find if you just like smile to somebody, you know, you can get a lot.
Yeah.
And I didn't have any troubles, you know.
Well, they probably saw you and was kind of like, I don't know if we want to mess with this guy. Probably a
Yeah.
little on the fence of whether you're a foreign and like American, like what are you? Like,
When I was really polite, like if there was a line of people, sometimes they would just say, go to the back of the line. Like after I waited in line, I'd get to the gas pump. They'd say, go to the back. I'd just go to the back, you know, like not in a rush. Or, you know, I'd hook up with another person on a motorcycle and offer to buy their gas, you know, like,
Yeah.
come on, let's do this, you
yeah.
know.
Were you ever nervous about your bike and your stuff getting stolen?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Hey, when you were in Bolivia, you didn't see the salt flats, did you?
I rode out into the middle of the salt flats.
So we should have had this conversation. So I actually was just talking to Jay Allen yesterday. He was telling me, do you know Al Lamb? He's from Dallas area. He owned he owns Dallas Honda.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's huge into land speed racing, and he's going like 250 plus.
Wow.
He's actually skipping the salt this year and going back. He's gone to Bolivia before, but he's going back there, I guess.
Yeah.
Gee,
Well, it's sweet. It is so
like you say,
sweet.
the salt's perfect.
Not where I was at. No, it was not perfect. Maybe, but it's a
Not
huge
surprised.
piece of salt. I'm sure that there's places where it's really nice. The people were really nice. They said the hard thing about racing down there, going fast, is getting fuel. There's not good fuel down there. And like one of the hostels I stayed at was some Americans owned it. And when they went down there, I don't know what year they had some trouble with the salts, multiple years in a row. So people were coming
it
down
was
there.
like 16 and 17 because
Yeah.
Al had went that year that it got canceled. He went to Bolivia instead.
Gotcha. Yeah. Well, they tried to get this guy to help them find gas, and he was never able to find like any kind of race fuel or really good fuel, period, for that matter.
Yeah. So you just did a post with how many times you've like dumped your bike. But wait a minute, I'm gonna play this video and then you gotta tell us about it. So hold on. All right, so yeah, that was definitely like a whoa. So obviously that truck turned in front of you.
Yeah, I mean, that was at Loretta Lynn's. That was what I told you about. Like, that's when I really fell in love with the bike. Yeah, that truck turned in front of me because he couldn't go past that point, and I knew this. The only place for him to go was hang a left. That was totally my fault. He might not have had a blinker on, but if I would have stopped and thought for a moment, he was fixing to turn left.
Obviously, you were all right. To a point.
I was, yeah. I just scraped up my arm. The bike was fine. The bike, the crash bar saved my legs, and I ended up fixing that bike. It pushed the radiator hose into the exhaust header. So me and my friends Carlos and Josh Kerpius made a heat shield out of a Modelo can, and it's still on the bike now.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. How about this one?
So that's Idaho.
Is there even a road there?
So I was told this is called a corduroy road. There was a landslide there, and somebody went through and cut the trees up and made like a log timber road. And at this point on that trail, I decided to like take some weird, line on a map through the salmon forest. And it just kept getting gnarlier and gnarlier. I went through a rock boulder slide too as well. But by the time I got to this point, I was not willing to turn around and go back where I came from. And this was probably one of the gnarliest roads I've ever ridden on.
Go figure.
As
here
far
in
as
the
like
United
technical.
States.
Yeah, in Idaho. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. How about where was this?
That's in Panama. I decided to follow my friends Rob and Keith through the mountains they're on KTM dirt bikes. And I'm like, yeah, let's roll. And we were riding up rivers. We were riding down the beach. It was fucking incredible. That's New Mexico. Michael Lichter took that Memorial Day weekend 2 years ago.
That's a deep river. That looks like it's up to your knees.
It's very deep. So there's a bridge that goes over it. That's like this Iron Gate Bridge. I mean, this is a single track dirt bike trail that I ride. But the bridge is really gnarly. And I rode over it once just fine. But to get back over it, there's like this big fucking dip and you got to jump the bike up onto it. Well, I dropped the bike off the bridge upside down into the river right before that. And Michael was so concerned with me and my bike, he just ran over and didn't take any photos of it upside down in the river.
Oh.
And we flipped it back over and I was like, well, I got to ride through now because I'm not going to try that again. And that's probably one of the deeper crossings I've done.
Wow, bike handled it. Boy, that bike has really been through the paces, huh?
Yeah.
I have put it through the paces all right.
How many miles you got on it?
Almost 30.
Yeah.
So
wow.
how many miles was the Pan America?
From my house to the Ushuaia and back to Buenos Aires, it was like 19,000 and some change.
Wow.
19,000. How long did it take you to do it?
It was my friend Randall counted it. He said it was 115 days on the bike.
Wow.
Wow. That is cool.
So when you were going down through Central America, South America, how do you handle like the money? You know, I mean, as far as, I mean,
all different currencies.
Yeah, well, it's like, how much money do you bring with you? Can you use a credit card? You know, how do you do that?
Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can use a credit card at most places. The ATMs just spit out the local currency.
Oh, okay.
As you cross the border, there's always people exchanging money right there on either side. That's where you get the most counterfeit money, though, is from those people on the streets.
Really?
I didn't even think
yeah,
about
absolutely.
That. Did you get counterfeit money?
Not that I'm aware of, but one thing I did do is I kept all the coins. So through the whole trip, I would just throw the coins in my bag and I'd bring them home and hopefully I'll make like a bar top out of it at some point. I made some rings for the women in my life for Christmas.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I just didn't know if you had to bring a pocket full of money to, and then you got to worry about, somebody robbing you. And,
Yeah.
I was just going to say, were you ever worried about being robbed?
By the cops.
By the cops,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't have to pay too many bribes. One of them in Colombia was kind of sketchy because it was like a new cop and we couldn't figure out how to do the bribe thing. Like he was young. He was like, you could tell he knew there was a way to get cash out of me. He just wasn't, it got sketchy before it got good, but I was trying to ride through this, there's this tunnel. So if you look at the map outside, I think it's Medellin, and there's all these squiggly roads going up the mountainside. And then all of a sudden there's this straight line. And I'm like, what the fuck is that? Well, it's a tunnel that just goes straight through this mountain. And it's a long tunnel. So I'm going to this tunnel and there's a bunch of signs that say no motorcycles. And I'm sure it's because it's like such a long tunnel. There's no exhaust for the fumes that build up.
Yeah.
So right at the beginning of it, there's a cop just waving down all the bikes. And most of the locals, he slapped them on the wrist and sent them on. Not so much with me, like we did some arguing. I finally got a guy on the phone from the Bogota Harley Davidson dealership. And when the cop realized I was talking to a local, he was just like, give me $20 and you can go,
Really?
Yeah.
Could he speak English?
No, he did not say that in English, but it was like 20,
How about you had told me a story. I think it had like just happened you crossed a border and had to pay them to let you cross the border.
Yeah.
I'm sure that happened.
Every border in Central America.
Yeah. Yeah.
Really?
It was like,
I think Honduras or Nicaragua was the most expensive one.
That is what it was.
Because I didn't have my driver's license, right? Because they lost it in the country before. So that cost $100. I didn't have like 13 COVID shots and a COVID test. So there's a couple $100. And there was something else. So then, I give the guy, for the COVID test, I give him the money. And I think he leaves and goes and gets like a fake piece of paperwork. So we go to the it's like a little hospital booth at the edge of the border. And there's this nurse in there. And we walk in there together and he gives this lady, we walk in and the lady starts yelling at him. And I'm like, fuck, this is not good. Well, while she's yelling at him, she's writing down a grocery list. I can see like beans and avocado and bananas or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And she hands him the grocery list and then gives me the paperwork to cross through. Like, I gave him money and she wanted her groceries paid for, to give me the right paperwork. Yeah. So we finally get to the Nicaragua side of things. And, I'm paying, I think I'm at like $200 or $300 at this point. And the guy inside, they come out and inspect your vehicle to make sure you're not bringing anything illegal in. Well, the guy comes out with all my paperwork, like the title, my passport, everything crucial. And he's looking at my bike and he starts like opening up the bags. And the first thing he finds is my drone. And he just steps back and throws everything on the ground and says, "You can't come to Nicaragua." And I'm just like, what the fuck? And I look at the guy helping me and he just goes, "It's a business." It does the money gesture. Yeah. And I'm like, fucking, how much more do you want? And so I think they ended up getting $500 and I got into Nicaragua. But at that point, I didn't have all the money they wanted. Like I didn't have it there with me. So I gave him what I had and he was like, "All right, we got to go to the ATM. Follow me to the ATM." So they jump on like a fucking Honda Tornado 200. And at this point, I've got all the legal shit. Like I don't need them anymore. But at every point, every border, somebody would help me out. They would call ahead to the next border and say, "Hey, Gringo's coming through with flames on his bike. He's got money." Like,
oh, jeez.
I mean, at the first border in Guatemala from Mexico, it cost me $30. Each border, the price just kept going up, And so I'm following these guys to the ATM going, I can just leave them. Like there's nothing stopping this fucking Harley Davidson Pan America from just, leaving them in the dust. But I'm like, all I got to do is make a call to the guy at the next border and they're just waiting on me,
Yeah, right. Exactly.
So I pull up to the ATM and I pull out like just under what they're asking for, maybe half of what they want. And I give it to them. I'm like, "That's it. Like you've got me. You've gotten all the cash." And they're just like, "Okay, thanks for doing business." And they leave. And there was not anybody waiting for me at that next border because I didn't have any more money,
Right.
Really?
Yeah. So I got in that last border was Costa Rica, and I got in there just fine. And that was it for the bribes of Central America.
Wow.
Jeez.
What was the most dangerous country?
Oh, I don't know. I mean,
Or the
Mexico.
sketchiest?
No, it's Mexico for sure.
Don't
Really?
be telling
Yeah.
my dad that.
Yeah.
Don't be telling DP that.
I mean, Colombia was like, Colombia's changed their game. Since I went through there, it's gotten kind of iffy again. The FARC is trying to like bring back their military resistance in the jungle. But dude, there was beautiful women from all over the world just traveling by themselves with all their shit on the backpack using public transportation.
In Colombia?
In Colombia, yeah. Colombia is fucking beautiful. The roads are amazing. The food is amazing. The hotels, the restaurants. I mean, it's so fucking awesome down there. And it's so cheap. I think I did over 2 weeks and spent less than $1,500. It was eating steaks, staying in like fucking places that look like Jurassic Park with like waterfalls in the background. I did cocaine with politicians. I mean, it was incredible.
Wow.
I bet.
But as far as dangerous, yeah, Mexico. I mean, you just don't know.
Figure.
But like as far as the roads, I think the most dangerous roads were in Peru. It was fucking wild in Peru.
Is that where that trampoline?
No, that was Colombia.
Oh, that was in Colombia?
Yeah, the road in Peru, it was called 8B. And once again, it wasn't very high on the list that I read, but it was fucking wild. It was paved and it would be as wide as a golf cart path. and then it would be wide enough for 2 trucks. And there was traffic going both ways, and there was like 1,000-foot cliffs on either side with blind turns. I mean, it was at any point you could have come around a turn and ran right into a truck. And it happened to me multiple times where I would run a truck or a car off into the ditch so they wouldn't knock me off the fucking ledge.
I would imagine those roads can be busy because that's their way of transportation, and there's probably not many roads.
Well, like that road was not real busy, but the day I went, come to find out all the trucks were going to the market the other direction from me.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, it's pretty remote, you know. There was a lot more like 3-wheel rickshaw, motorcycle, taxis than anything else. And most people travel on motorcycle in Peru. You know, like that's just their everyday vehicle. So there's a lot of bikes in Peru.
What was the most people you saw on one motorcycle?
Oh, like it's 5 or 6.
That
Really?
is nuts.
With groceries and less than 200 cc's pushing them.
Wow.
That when we were in I think the Dominican Republic, me, Sean, and Kelsey, and we saw a bike with 4 people. Well, it was 3 adults and then a lady with a baby, like a little bit, and she was sitting side saddle going down like the highway. It was like same thing, like a little teeny bike, and it was like, man, that is nuts. Not only having that many people, but then with a baby sitting side saddle. All you should have to do is hit a bump and she's gone.
The most impressive thing is to see a young mother with a kid behind her and an infant on her front while she's controlling the motorcycle. You know, like, and not even have much of a strap. You know, she's working a clutch, holding the baby. You know, just got her tit out in case the kid gets hungry. Just like riding some of the gnarliest roads ever. I'm just like, you know, it's amazing. It really is.
It is. So your bike is at Grand Teton, correct?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
What is going to be your next adventure? I mean, is anything going to top that?
No, I mean, I don't know that I never really try and top anything, you know. It's just kind of like the next one, though, is going to be a fun one. We're going to do the Colorado BDR to Sturgis again, except for I've invited some people to go with me. I got another Pan America recently, and I got my friend Nick Farringer who's going to ride it. Are you guys familiar with Farringer?
With Nick?
Yeah, Nick. He's
Nick's
a great
cool
dude. Super dude, you know.
You'd
him
know
and his
if you saw him.
Okay.
Well, his dad, Carl Farringer, is Cycle Electric. His dad started Cycle Electric years ago. And they're great dirt bike. I mean, Nick's one of the best dirt bike riders on the planet. You know, he's raced the Red Bull Romaniacs over in Romania. He got fucking gold a couple years ago, first place.
Is he excited to ride the Pan America?
He's excited to just go on a trip like that where we're traveling and camping and, it's not going to handle like his 300 2-stroke Sherco, but it'll be
American made.
I just kind of want to share what I've, enjoyed the past couple of years, kind of like what we did, just riding and camping and, moving on and just going on an adventure on the way to Sturgis. And I think Jake from Prism Supply is going to come out with his friend. And I think I got Brad Richards signed up to come out with us too. So it'll be, just a bunch of Pan Ams riding across Colorado on our way to Sturgis.
Now, when you get to Sturgis, where you stay in Sturgis usually?
Well, I've stayed all sorts of places. My neighbor actually bought a campground a few years ago, so I've stayed there a couple of times. It's called Bulldog Creek.
Yeah.
They don't have live. Well, they got like live acoustic shows, but it's home cooking. The guy's like, he's got this big barn and he smokes food. He lets us work on our choppers there.
Whereabouts is it?
It's across the highway from Kickstands.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that dirt road that goes. You can take the dirt road to the back, the back end of the Buffalo Chip.
Yep.
Yeah.
Kind of coming the back way through town if you want.
Yeah.
So it's a good location. It's right on the interstate, but you can sneak into town if you don't mind riding on dirt pretty easily.
Yeah. So the next adventure is you guys are going to EDI.
We are.
What's EDI?
The El Diablo Run.
Oh, okay.
And then via Mexico.
Yeah, we're going back to Mexico.
Yeah, in which I heard that you guys got to catch a ferry.
Yeah, we will be catching the ferry. Yeah, I'm going to take the guys. So about, I think in 19 or 18, me and Kickstart Mike, Rode our choppers down to a
Who
place
is
called.
very cool, by the way.
He is the best.
He is a cool guy. I was honored to ride with him and hear his stories.
I think when we did this trip, he was 66 and he was riding a 66 shovel head chopper.
No kidding.
And we rode to Batopilas, which is the bottom of Copper Canyon. And Copper Canyon's a bigger canyon than the Grand Canyon, except for it's in Mexico. And it's just an amazing ride. So I'm going to take a handful of guys back there. And then we're either going to take some dirt roads back out of there to a place called Los Mochis, or we're going to come back out and go down to Durango and hit the Devil's Backbone. And the Devil's Backbone is like
I've done that.
in Durango?
Yeah.
Durango,
Yeah,
Mexico?
Krishna.
Oh yeah.
I think so.
In Mexico?
No. This is no.
No, the Devil's
Yeah.
Backbone
Different
No.
one.
Yeah, different one.
in Mexico.
different
It's like, I think it's 120 miles and it's got like 1,500 turns. It takes about 5 hours to ride down.
Yeah, no.
And we did that a couple of years ago, but they built the toll road now that goes straight through the mountains. So it's nothing but tunnels and bridges across the Sierra Madre Mountains.
That must be pretty cool, though.
And then you land in Mazatlan, which is right on the coast. And we got a friend named Ruli whose shop is right at right on the wall of the Pacifico Brewery plant. And yeah, then we'll take a ferry to La Paz and ride up to Baja.
That's pretty cool. That sounds
Yeah.
like it's going to be a cool trip.
Yeah.
It is. It's
So when
gonna
I'm
be
on
awesome.
when I'm on the Kyle Petty ride and somebody's carrying my luggage for me, I'll be like, man, I wish I was in Mexico.
Yeah. Yeah.
It'll
Yeah, we
literally be one extreme to the other.
We would love to have you with us.
All right, next year I'm in.
We
Just
won't
don't
do it
tell
next year.
DP.
Can't do that one 2 years in a row.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, you gotta give Mexico a break. Right now, Mexico is not like, it's never like the safest place to go, but things are pretty heightened right now. So it'll be nice having like a group of guys.
Yeah.
When me and Mike went there, at one point we were in we're in the Sierra, we're in the mountains, where shit happens, and some kid walked up to us and asked us how much our motorcycles are worth, and he had a walkie-talkie on him, and Mike
geez.
and fucking Kickstart asked him, who's on the other side of that walkie-talkie, and I'm like, Mike, we do not want to know who the fuck is on the other side of that walkie-talkie, dude. We need to get out of here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we left.
Yeah. So all right, so you're doing that, and then the Tennessee Motorcycle Revival.
Tennessee
Motorcycle
Motorcycle Music Revival at Loretta
Such-
Lynn's Ranch in Hurricane
so-
Hills. Look, I got my Tennessee cup right now with Loretta Lynn on it. God bless her heart.
Oh yeah.
R.I.P.
Yeah, so I am really looking forward to that. I'm psyched to go. There's like a small gang of like our guys, let's say, that are going, and then like all the guys that I met via you
Yeah.
are going. Like I'm psyched because it's gonna be all different bubbles of
But-
motorcycles.
But the guys Jody's are going with, they're all staying on big buses,
Yeah. Hey, I have an RV dropped off there so that me and my family can camp in while we're in town.
Oh,
Yeah,
really? Oh,
But
that's
Yeah.
you're probably still gonna rough it somehow.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just a rough person,
Yeah,
But
these guys are gonna be, in their Prevost buses, all fancy.
well, I mean, I'm gonna be doing the same thing, Like you can't sleep in the dirt every night. When I bring my wife and kids around, I like to treat them right, enjoy the nicer things in life.
Yeah, absolutely.
How old are your kids again?
8 and 9.
So obviously they're on dirt bikes,
Yep.
wreaking havoc.
Yeah, they literally will ride their dirt bikes from the time we get there till the time we leave.
That is so cool.
Yeah,
That's so cool.
absolutely.
So Lena wanted to know, who's more of a brute, Pearl or your kids?
Ooh, I can't wait to see the two of them together. Really, that's
That's
gonna be a
exactly what
trip.
she said. She goes, I need to hook Pearl up with Dan's kids.
Yeah, let's not do that at my house. Let's,
Yeah.
Yeah.
let's find like a third-party residence to let that
Yeah.
unwind.
Yeah, that
Oh.
would be nothing but trouble. Imagine
You
if-
should tell her to bring him to Tennessee. We'll tear up Loretta's place.
Yeah.
listen. I'm looking.
Oh,
if
Rick
she,
would never let her go
yeah, I'm
Yeah.
looking
No?
to get her out of Dallas.
there. Yeah.
No, the Tennessee Motorcycle Music Revival is such a rad event. It brings in so many walks of life. There's so many different opportunities to ride dirt bikes, to ride adventure bikes. All the paved roads in the area are beautiful. You can't make a wrong turn while you're up there. And the music lineup this year is incredible. The Wall of Death will be there. The ranch itself is beautiful. There's a flat track. There's a hill climb. I mean, it's got it all.
Whose wall do they have?
The Ives brothers.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Hey, are you obviously you're bringing your chopper and your Pan America?
Yep.
Can I go for a ride?
And my KTM.
Well, can I be penciled in?
Absolutely
for
not.
Going for a ride on the Pan America one
not
day?
in Tennessee. No, that might be above your. No, absolutely. I would love for you to ride it. So they're going to have a thing called the ADV experience there, where they're going to like have obstacles set up, kind of like give people a place to learn and try some things out that they may have never done before. And then there will also be trails to ride. I think it would be
cool.
great place to get you on that bike.
Yeah.
Do you have some good moto boots?
Yeah. I'll have my boots because I'm going to be racing at
Sons of Speed.
Sons of Speed the following weekend.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah,
I'll
have all my stuff with me.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
All right. Well, I know this is a cool. You have such cool experiences. We could just keep going all day.
Could.
Yeah. And so wait, one more thing. Tell me about the penguins.
Oh, yeah, there's penguins in South America. It was the first day I saw them, though, it was like 90 degrees. I couldn't even believe there was penguins hanging out, you know? And I'd kind of written it off because I didn't see them. I went all the way to the bottom of South America and never saw a penguin. I did see some flamingos, and that was really cool to see a flamingo just out in the wild holding its fucking leg up. But
was
penguins.
It like bright pink?
Yeah, some of them were bright pink, some of them were like dirty pink. Yeah, it was incredible. Argentina is insane. Like that. Not till I got to Argentina did I really go, all right, I got to bring my wife back here. You know, like it's safe. The roads are spectacular. The views are spectacular. The food is amazing. You know, they drink wine like water down there. It's really good. But the penguins, I just happened to run into a guy that I had met at the salt flats in Bolivia months prior to this. I meet him again at some border crossing between Argentina and Chile. And he goes, hey, if we go up here a little ways and hang a left and go down a dirt road, there's penguins there.
Is this a local or is this somebody that's doing the same thing you're doing?
No, this dude's from like fucking Switzerland or some shit, you know? And he was, it was a weird story. He was actually on a totally different bike and he just saw me and my bike's kind of hard to miss and was like, hey, I met you at the salt flats at the bike wash place. Like, whoa. So yeah, he took me to some penguins and we, you know, they're penguins just hanging out, you know, like dancing really and playing in the water. It was insane. Yeah.
Yeah. You had sent me a picture of it, of the penguins. So I didn't even know the penguins were in hot temperatures. I thought they were
didn't either.
Cold birds.
I'm no geologist or animalologist. Yeah, it was warm. I was shocked myself.
That's so cool, Dan. I mean, I don't know there's many people in the world that can say they rode that whole road. And it's cool for you to be the first on the Pan America.
Well, you know, I guess I was the first one to come from North America. While I was on the road, I met this couple from Poland, from Poland, and they were riding 2 Up. Now, they didn't go hit all the dangerous roads I hit, but they did hit some of them. And they made it to the bottom like 2 or 3 weeks before me. And I ended up meeting up with them. I did a podcast with them in Peru and in Argentina. And great couple. But they started in Cartagena, Colombia. They got to miss out on the fun of Central America.
Yeah, I was just going to say, though, that's almost like cheating.
Well, I mean, honestly, if anybody was going to ask me how to do this, I would say skip Central America and go straight to Colombia. Because you got to fly your bike there anyways. And, you know, you're doing so much border crossing in Central America, and it's pretty fucking sketchy, you know. It's just start in South America. It's so much easier.
Know, regardless, you did it.
Yeah, I did do it.
Yeah, that is very cool. And to start in North America. Start here.
And you know, a girl actually I just found, I can't think of her name, but she just rode a Pan America from Alaska all the way down to the bottom. And she just finished up. She's shipping her bike home from Buenos Aires like this week.
Wow,
Wow.
that is cool. Good for her.
Wow.
Yeah, on a Pan America.
That is
So,
really cool.
She was actually traveling with a guy, and he wrecked his bike in Peru. And like, it's all fucked up.
You'll have to. Is she on Instagram?
She is called
Tag me in the thing.
Ride. Her name is great. It's Ride with Snacks.
Good name.
I know.
Now, does Harley Davidson recognize what you've done?
They have. They are, you know, yeah, they have recognized. And they've said they said thank you by, you know, hooking me up with another bike to share with other people. You know,
Yeah.
I think you know, there was a couple of different ideas to maybe put that bike on display at different places when I got done with the trip. And it's right now it's on display at Grand Teton in Idaho, if you want to go check it out.
Yeah.
But I'm going to take this other bike and just share it with other people. I got Detroit to go on this last trip with us. And, you know, I just want to let people ride it that may never really, that maybe don't have the desire to ride an adventure bike or just maybe wouldn't do it. And that's what this ride about to Sturgis is. Put Nick Farringer on it. You know, he's used to riding high performance dirt bikes and just working on Harley. So to put him on this and share that experience is really cool. Hoping to get Jody on it.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
want
maybe Tennessee's a good starter, and then we could
Yeah.
plan a, you know, a real trip and adventure trip in the dirt. And
Yeah. I'm
so
all
it's
for
pretty
it.
cool.
I'm all for it for the next motorcycle bubble.
Okay.
Yeah. So for all you guys tuning in and watching, if you guys want to check out Dan, he has his Instagram, Danger Danimal. So you guys go give him a follow. You have some awesome videos over there. I like, wait a minute, let me see. I think I have the picture. I like your suit.
Yeah, that's a sweet.
Picture.
So I got that custom made in Kathmandu on a motorcycle Sherpa trip. And
Very cool.
if you want to get a custom suit like that made, I'm going back to Kathmandu in November. And I'm going to get another suit made. So
Do they make female suits? Can we make
They
it
make-
like with
they
curves?
make whatever you want. You know, that was
Seriously.
custom made. I'm serious.
I want at least the jacket.
Yeah, no, you got to get the full thing. You
Well,
know,
all right. I'll get
don't
the full
half-ass
thing,
it.
And then I
you
can
know?
wear my, I can wear my hat.
There you go.
I'm with it.
There you go.
Yeah. So me and you can be like twinning.
Yeah, and if anybody wants to hear more of these stories on my podcast, available on iTunes, Spotify, I talk to beautiful people like Jody in Detroit. And I also, if you just put in Danger Dan American Highway into Google, it'll pull up, you know, all the shows I did from the road, talking about things that happened and, you know, the circumstances I had to overcome on the road.
Yeah. So here's that. It's Danger Dan's Talk Shop. If you guys want to go and listen to this episode and then 402, which is both of these are awesome episodes with Detroit and myself from when we were in Bisbee. And I've listened to a couple other ones. Your podcasts are really cool. You got some interesting people on there.
I've met a bunch of amazing people thanks to motorcycles.
Yeah.
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 Well, we all have.
Yeah.
So,
We all have.
so once again, that's Danger Dan's Talk Shop on any Spotify, iTunes, any of that. And then he has Dan's Instagram. So you guys go over and give him a follow. Like I said, he's got some awesome videos and pictures and content over there. Some good stuff. Do you want to plug anybody else or anything else, Dan?
Well, what I like to say is I look forward to coming up there and sitting down with you guys and reversing the roles and recording a podcast to share y'all's story with the world.
Why don't you come for Laconia?
I'm not coming for Laconia.
Okay.
I think I'm going to come up for the block party.
We'll both be gone.
bad time.
Bad.
We have our fall foliage run.
No, it's
Oh,
I'll be on.
that
no,
sounds
Oh, you'll be on
amazing
the
too.
Cannonball.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
it should
the
be on the
Cannonball.
Cannonball.
And you'll
Well,
be
then
in
maybe,
charge.
I'll just sit down and talk with Dave. You know, I've already had
Yeah.
you on twice, Jody.
Is
Do
it what's the weekend?
It's like the 18th, 17th,
It's like,
or 18th.
yeah, the
Oh no,
third
that's after the
weekend.
smoke out.
Oh, yeah.
How
but
about the
third-
smoke out? You go to the smoke out?
I haven't been to the smokeout.
Yeah, we're gonna go to the smokeout this year. That's the
Okay.
weekend after Labor Day.
The weekend after
September.
Labor Day. Okay.
Yeah, I
Well,
think
that's
that's
probably-
the weekend before the block party.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think that's when I'll leave Texas.
Okay.
Yeah. The
So
block
maybe I'll
party's
come
fun.
see you after the block party.
Yeah, come and stay here.
We'll stay in touch.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. All right, Dan. Well, thank you very much for coming on and chatting with us. You have such a good
Absolutely.
story, and I can't wait to hear more.
Thanks for doing everything y'all do for the motorcycle community, and I look forward to seeing you in Tennessee, and I'm coming to see you up in your hometown, Dave.
Okay, well, I'll see you in Sturgis anyway,
Oh, yeah, you will.
for sure.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
All right, Dan. Thanks for coming
Dan.
on.
Bye.
All right, guys. So that was our show for today. That was Danger Dan. Make sure you guys go give him a follow on Instagram. Just a cool guy. I can't tell you how much fun I had with him and his gang riding to Bisbee. It was just a cool experience, from sleeping under the stars to getting caught in rainstorms to crossing the Mexican border and riding in Mexico. It was a cool experience. So make sure you guys go give him a follow. Shout out to Indian Motorcycles and La Tigers for sponsoring Chopper History. Without them, we wouldn't be able to do this for you guys. And also, I want to mention, don't forget to go, if you aren't on YouTube, go follow us on our YouTube page. Just search Perowitz and that should pull it right up. And I think that's it. You got anything else to add?
Well,
guys?
just those bikes we have for sale.
Yeah, which there's posts already on our Facebook. So go back and look. We have a couple bikes that we're trying to sell. And also next week, which I don't have a calendar. I think it's next week, we're going to have Kyle Petty on.
Okay.
So actually, no, it's on the 20th. So the 20th is going to be Kyle Petty, which we're going to talk about the Kyle Petty ride, which I will be leaving for shortly after that. And that is all around Salt Lake City. So if you guys are in that area, we're doing like a 1,500-mile loop. Go check that out, Kyle Petty Charity Ride. And it tells you where the stops are if you guys want to come out and see us. It's a really cool experience, totally different than what I did with Dan, but still a really awesome experience.
Yeah, I did the Kyle Petty ride in 1999 from LA to North Carolina. Great experience. Had a really, really good time.
Yeah. And a shout out to all you guys that commented. Thank you for tuning in and commenting. Keep those comments coming because that keeps us in the feed. Sorry that we don't always get to your comments. I know there's a couple guys that always tune in. Mike Draco, Andrew Lieberman, Dennis,
Troy,
Conti, Dan Dugan, Troy Billers. Oh, Randy. Hi, Randy.
is Randy?
Randy from the Cannonball.
Oh yeah,
Gotta be
I
in
just
with the
saw
truck
some.
hat.
I
Yeah,
just saw some posts
from Fandango.
Yeah, from Fandango. Randy.
Yeah, Randy, we love you.
Yeah.
All your posts. We're living vicariously at Fandango through
Yeah.
your Instagram. So thank you guys for everybody that is tuning in. Velarde. Hi, Velarde. All right. That's it for our show today. Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next week.